Whoa, good morning. It's May 2nd. It's a Tuesday. Alpha Tuesday. Tuesday crew. So that means it's alternate side talking day. Morning edition. Good morning. My name is Lou. I am your host for Alternate Side Talking, and I am in my car waiting until 7:45 when it feels safe to get out of the car and avoid getting a ticket. I don't know, if there's an official rule. I think these are just sort of accepted times that you can get out of your car and feel safe that someone's, that the meter maid, as insensitive as that term may be, is going to come by and say, oh, it's too late to give this person a ticket. I'll move on to the meter scofflaws instead. Someone was telling me a story recently about a person who they got a ticket and they challenged it, and it was only like 2 minutes until the actual time they were supposed to be getting the ticket, or that they would be legally parked, and that a meter person had come give them their ticket, and she challenged it, and that the judge gave a kind of sarcastic and funny tongue-in-cheek scolding of the person while dismissing the ticket. Something about them being a recidivist criminal and whatnot. But so back in the car. Last week I didn't have to move the car because I was in Las Vegas for work. I was at the NAB, National Association of Broadcasters Convention, doing sort of broadcast innovations, discoveries, and going and seeing all the new technology that's going to be happening in television coming up. It was very interesting. I had a very good time. I do wish, however, that I had gotten to go outside of the Las Vegas Strip. Of course, the Las Vegas Strip is designed to make you never leave the Las Vegas Strip. But, it's, I don't know, pretty cool, I guess. It's amazing. I enjoy it. I don't really enjoy gambling, and I resisted going to see the Thunder Down Under because I don't really enjoy seeing Australian men with that six-pack thing now, where it actually looks like you could actually drink soup from between their abdominal muscles. I mean, it's a goal of mine that I would have that, not to drink soup out of that, but it's a goal of mine to just, be a ripped Australian man. But I resisted going, although it is tempting. So I was in Vegas, and I just enjoy sort of marveling at the concepts that they have of, the designs of the casinos to make it so that there's no straight lines, and you can't tell what time of day it is, and there's no clocks, and all that stuff, and all the constant, bling, 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 to make you feel at ease, and all those pleasing sounds, and the sound of all the money being sucked away from the people that I was with. Good times. This is the first episode of Alternate Side Talking. I almost said Lou Reed's, but that would be incorrect. Alternate Side Talking on the Alternate Side Talking Facebook page. Trying a new thing. So far, no one has come, which is sad-making. But, when you're pushing the envelope, it's important to know what's working and what's not. I was going to do this. Let me let in some of the sunlight. Maybe is that too harsh? Perhaps. It's springish outside. It's going to be in the low 70s today again, which is nice. Not so nice that I want to open up the windows yet for the car because, one, it's a lot of extra noise, and two, it's springish, not springtime. Where was I? Oh, yeah, so in Vegas, I was thinking about next time I go to Vegas, taking some extra time to go explore outside of the Strip. Now, the Strip is, of course, as I mentioned, a sort of fascinating delight of entrapment and, entertainment. But I never get to go see any shows, or I've only been to Vegas twice. Once was for a wedding and once was for work. Both times relatively short and action-packed. I did win $35 over the course of 3 days because I'm a low roller. But next time I go, I want to go and do a tour of the bars that have been rescued by Bar Rescue, because that is a fantastic reality show that is not as bad as other reality shows. Mostly because it features John Taffer yelling at people. And John Taffer is kind of like a terrifying shaved ape of a man, but he's good at what he does. I'll say that. And when you compare it to a show like Billy the Exterminator or many of the other fantastic reality shows that are out there, you'll see that it's pretty decent. Yeah, it's along the same veins of Kitchen Nightmares and The Prophet and all those kind of things, but I enjoy it. I also enjoy when I notice, like, how, I'd like to see how they make it so that I could determine just how phony all the setups are, but then sometimes when you peek behind the curtain, right, The Wizard of Oz, there's probably just a little sad man behind that curtain. Do I want to ruin it for myself? Maybe I do. But I also heard that there's like a Las Vegas Chinatown, and that, there's some fabulous tiki bar there. So next time Las Vegas, it's a really long flight. Not as far as LA, but fair enough that it was long. And I watched some movies on there, saw Masterminds, which I enjoyed. I laughed out loud on the plane, annoying everyone around me. On the way down, what did I watch? I watched something else that made me laugh. But, it's a good movie. Oh, and I watched Atlanta, the series, several episodes of it, which I also enjoyed and look forward to enjoying more. Unfortunately today, I don't have a guest, which is a bummer, because, it's better when there's two people in here. I'm sorry, what?
American Access? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's me.
Oh,
I'd love to give you a ride.
Okay.
This is one of my neighbors.
Sorry about
That's
that.
all right. He thought I was a livery car service, which is very entertaining and unexpected. I also had this morning, I had a guy pull up to me because I was unconsciously had my foot on the brake. I'm assuming a local construction worker working on some project asked me if I was leaving, but I misunderstood him. Language barrier. I thought he asked if I was living here. You can see what I'm saying. And when he started to back up, I was like, no, I'm not leaving. And he had to take his Suburban somewhere else because that car is big. As usual, I got out here, Tuesday crew. I thought leaving at 6:30 would get me out here in plenty of time, but I would say 80% of the block was already parked up, although my favorite spot, which is by the sign, was open. So I did move to that spot. And the reason I like it is because it gives you that finite end to your parking spot. So I parked to the sign, always park to the sign, and the whole rest of the block was already parked in. Like how they determine their distance from the sign if they don't park to the sign and therefore use that as the the basis or the starting mark for where they're going to park. I don't know. So I parked at the sign. There's maybe a quarter of a car space between me and the next car because they are parked not to the sign. They parked to the person in front of them, most likely. Scoff laws. I have considered making signs that attach to these poles that say, "Hey, moron, park to the sign." I think it's worth insulting the people because, one, it's New York and they can take it. And two, it emphasizes the seriousness of all this wasted space. Now, of course, if I do a sign that says, hey, moron, of course, someone's going to do what people do, which is get all worked up about that part of it. And, you know, be like, well, you don't have to insult people to get your message across and blah, 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 blah. You know, that's really not the point. The point is the part to the sign. But I want to get your attention with a light insult. I mean, if you take offense to the sign, you think I'm talking to you, then maybe you are the moron. Or are you a social justice warrior who's just sort of defending all people from being called morons because of some sort of association with morons that people don't want or don't feel is fair? I don't know. But attaching them to the sign is a problem. Plus, I would want to make them out of like wood or something sturdy and not just like a piece of laminate. So if there are any wood crafters out there who are watching, which is 0 people right at the moment, but this is an exercise in entertaining myself. And if you are entertained as a byproduct, that's great. So anyway, yeah, you know, if there's anybody who knows how to make a wooden arrow, perhaps, that we can attach to these, like, you know, these weird, what are they? I guess they're kind of shaped, not lampposts, but the kind that hold up the, you know, the parking signs. Let's talk. I think we can make a little piece of art that will also shame people about how terrible they are at parking. And that's really what life's all about. So, let's do that, man. I'm trying to think of an interesting thing I saw in Las Vegas. Of course, I haven't been to Las Vegas since my friend Finn was married. So that was a long time ago. Over a decade. The rise of the computer screen slot machines is everywhere, and they had I was surprised to see all the nostalgia and current branded TV shows and things like that. You know, there was a Big Bang Theory, a Sharknado slot machine, I Dream of Jeannie slot machine, nostalgia Batman slot machine, modern Batman slot machine, Wonder Woman slot machine, and then of course slot machines for people who don't have pop culture issues or desires. But I thought it was pretty cool. What did I play? I played the Willy Wonka slot machine, which is actually produced by a friend of mine, and that's where I won 30 of my $35 winnings. And I had no idea what was happening at any time. Like, I just put in $50 and hit max bet and went, you know, my second spin, I was fully expecting to lose it all, which over time is what will happen. But I hit some sort of bonus, and it went like bloop, 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 and then, like, you know, it's like Wonka bars and Oompa Loompas popping up. I had no idea what was going on. That didn't stop me from enjoying the fact that I had won $30. But I would have perhaps felt better if I knew why. But neither here nor there. I'm not going to worry about it. If you're just tuning in, which you're not because there's nobody watching, this is Alternate Side Talking with King Lou. Normally, I will hopefully have a guest in the chair, but today, my guest had to drop out due to her own reasons. I'm not shaming anybody. I know that a couple of weeks ago I had her scheduled to come, but then there was a Jewish holiday, so I didn't need her, but I miscommunicated that, and she came anyway, and I was asleep. So that's shameful. It's on my part. I'll probably have some sort of develop a psychological tick about it in the near future, and whenever I think about even doing this, I'll be like, but for now, it's kind of a funny anecdote. So, what's in the news? How about this Trump Civil War thing? The question continues to be whether Donald Trump is a, like, you know, platinum level troll who knows that if he just says dumb, crazy shit, people will you know, drive themselves into the ground trying to prove him wrong. You know, talking about Andrew Jackson and the Civil War, and no one knows why the Civil War started, and all this other stuff. It's hard to say whether or not he is genuinely stupid, or just doesn't care, or is a, you know, master level shit talking demon, I suppose. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I posted on Twitter yesterday that it was sort of like mind-bogglingly stupid, but he keeps doing it. And then I think, you know, his followers, they don't care that he's wrong, right? They don't care that he doesn't know anything about the job that he's doing, or, you know, didn't educate himself at all about the job and the tasks of the job and the history between all the, you know, the different agreements, and that you can't just come in and be like, you know what, I want to change everything now. So they don't seem to care that he doesn't know any of that or whatever. They just, I think their entire joy, and we were discussing this at my job yesterday, their entire joy is based on the fact that liberals are upset, right? So it doesn't matter if the country is potentially at the brink of war with North Korea or whatever. You know, they just think it's hilarious to themselves that you know, people are clutching the pearls and wringing their hands over you know, the concept of Donald Trump just continually fucking with us about whatever the fuck he wants to say, and then never backing up anything he says because it's total nonsense. It's very frustrating, and that gives them more pleasure. The more frustrating, the better. But if you'd like to sit in the car with me and we could talk about Donald Trump and all of his horribleness, I mean, that's not the nature of the show. The nature of the show is just me talking to a person, hopefully, but also an exercise in continued talking. I'd like to get the ums out of my on-camera personality, but that's more difficult than it would seem to be in general, because the brain inserts the ums to give you time to think. Like that one. I have to think about what I'm going to say next. Now I'm going to extra notice. Painful. It's painful. Well, I've been streaming for 20 minutes now, and one person popped in and went away. That was an unfortunate thing. An inauspicious beginning to the stream on the Facebook page. Well, I hope that soon the people who did like the page will be alerted, although I don't know if that is true. What was I going to say? Oh, I had another topic I wanted to talk to you guys about. This is, it's May 2nd. The year is flying by. I was going to say it's, you know, the end of I guess we finished a third of the year already. That's kind of like fascinating and terrifying at the same time. There are so many things we always want to do and plan and get done. I'm trying to think of how I gotten anything done this year. I guess I started doing this, which is something I've been thinking about for probably 6 months. So that's a good thing. And getting other people to sit in the car with me a few times, that's a good thing. I have someone scheduled for next week, so don't worry. And that guest will be a mystery. You'll see when he or she or they appear. Today is Adam Makasek's birthday, a coworker of mine. So while he hates celebrating birthdays and apparently has a rant about why celebrating them is stupid, we'll most likely have some sort of cupcake at work. And I will enjoy the sugar spike it gives me and the issues it causes with my type 2 diabetes. Thank you. Genetics and poor eating habits. Oh yeah, boy, did you guys get a good night's sleep? I sure didn't. Alternate side parking is not only a stressor to having to get up early and sitting in the car, it also causes a lot of stress. Oh, I gotta move my hand. Oh, locked in the elbow. Whoa! Maybe if I rest it there. Oh, perfect. This is actually not so bad. What if I do this? Oh, even better. Although I've had discussion for later. I'll dissect this in the lab. Oh yeah, so yeah, it's like I have like anxiety, dreams about waking up and missing the parking spots. And last night I went to sleep and I woke up at 3:30 and was kind of like, oh, gotta move the car. Oh no, then I woke up again at 5. It's not great. And I also sleep on the couch so that when I get up, I'm not waking up my wife. And the new couch, while it is lovely to sit on, there's something about it that makes it unpleasant to sleep on. I do not know what that is. Oh man, there's a dog barking. And I'm not talking about my feet. Sometimes I'll say that about my dogs, meaning my feet. My building, we're not allowed to have real dogs. So if you ever hear me say my dogs are barking, please don't report me to the management. I don't know if where you live has video cameras, but in my building, we do have video cameras. Especially they were installed after there were a number of like package thefts, and then one of the people who was on the board had their air conditioner stolen, and then they voted to have a video camera system installed. And over the years, we've used it to catch, I caught somebody throwing away one of my kids' toys one time, and when I confronted them, they lied, and I was like, I saw the video. They did not find that entertaining. In fact, they became enraged. But we've used it to sort of identify when people were stealing packages. One time it was a delivery guy opened up a Gap bag that was sitting in our package area and just put on a hooded sweatshirt and zipped it up underneath his delivery messenger hoodie and made off with it. And it was like literally the last day in the recording window that I could have seen it. Let's see, what other packages? There was a guy in the other building who did a lot of online gay hookups, and he invited some dude come and that guy stole another air conditioner that was delivered in the mail, and also just a random box. I've used it to bust some teens that were unwisely smoking weed in the courtyard. Now, I don't care if you smoke weed, but if you and your friends want to have a smoke sesh in the courtyard, one, that's a bad idea because it's, the building's property and you don't want to stink up the entire courtyard for everybody. And two, it was more about them leaving their dime bags and their Philly Blunt or Swisher Sweet fillings all over the place. Very rude. If you're going to break the law, be considerate. Even if it's a bad law, right? I mean, these were high schoolers, so, they make bad decisions. Oh, I will say, it is weird talking to yourself for 25 minutes. If there were other people watching, it'd feel better. But then I think back to when I had my public access show, and that was really talking to myself as well. And I was actually holding a 7-pound mini DV 3CCD camcorder at arm's length with a big old fisheye lens, and I did that for several years, so that is pretty good. Yeah, I don't know how many people watched that show, because no one ever told me that they saw my public access show, but they would tell people who were on it. So like my friends and comedy people would be like, oh yeah, my friend said they saw me on your public access show, but no one I knew ever saw it. Why is that? Is it the people that I'm friends with are above watching public access television? It's very snobbish, if you ask me. I mean, people fought for your right to be able to make public access television, which is, in general, mostly unwatchable, but some people, like myself, put a lot of effort into the old public access show. And the show was called What Was I Thinking? And you can see it I think, on my YouTube channel, which is at Robot Lou, or it might be on Fernandez Archive. I can't remember. I have 2 YouTube channels. Mostly, they should just be one. They're mostly the same kind of thing. I think Robot Lou was originally supposed to be more my fun projects, and Fernandez Archive is supposed to be family videos, but somehow I managed to screw that up and make them mixed. No guest. Oh no, Terry. I couldn't go. I couldn't get a guest. What am I supposed to do? It's just me talking. So just pretend that I've stopped you in the street and that I won't stop talking and just won't let you interrupt me. I think it's a pretty standard experience for people when they run into me. Let me tell you about what's happening with me. Oh, I've got a job and I take the train. Sometimes I have an upset tummy. I don't want to hear about what's going on with you. More about me. Whoa, what's in the news? Hey, what do you think about that? Brooklyn Heights. Terry, let me give you the Brooklyn Heights update for Terry Ginn, former neighborhood neighbor who is watching the show. Brooklyn Heights is the same almost, except, they got the park. Were you here when the park was here? Yes, I think so. The park is a constant point of contention. I heard that the police were crazy down there, really sort of trying to enforce, rules on the basketball players, which is sort of, of course, a color issue. Brooklyn Heights mostly. Hold on a second. My son just texted me to say, do you know where the new earbuds are? Why would I know where his new earbuds are? Ugh. Terry, I don't know if you have this trouble with your very young child always losing their stuff and asking you where they are. Oh, well, okay. She's watching and maybe catch it on the reruns. Well, that's why we've got the Facebook page, right? So you have a home to come and watch me talking, which is, of course, what everyone's morning should start with. Have a great day at daycare, B. It'll be one day I'll meet you. Yes. So, only 10 more minutes. Nope. Sadly, 15 more minutes to go before I feel safe leaving the car. This is an ongoing battle for me, and will be until the day that New York decides that the streets can be dirty again. And Terry Ginn mentions that hopefully I make enough of these that I can go into syndication. Now, I think that's 120 episodes. And I hope so too, because, boy, it'll be great to just sit back and watch the money roll in with all of that sweet residual money. I look forward to it. I think, who? I tried to get Sam Riegel to sit in the car with me this morning because he's in town. But unfortunately, he's with his family and also claimed to be on California time, I think. If you want to do something bad enough, you would do it. But I suppose being present and alert for your family for the rest of the day is more important than sitting in a car with someone you haven't seen in 5 years. Let's say 3 years. It's 3 years. I was being dramatic. And also, I don't blame him. Although I do appreciate everyone who is willing to sit in the car with me. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there who would be willing to do so. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, I think I'm going to have a sip of coffee. It's been a while since I had any liquids in my mouth that I paid for. And this is not an opportunity for you to make some kind of filthy urine joke. Or other fluids. Gross. So, sitting in the car. I'm wearing my Something Awful sweatshirt, which is a delight, I tell you. It's actually been a good sweatshirt. Does this sweatshirt have a tear? For some reason, I have a habit of tearing the pockets of my sweatshirts. I don't know why, but one of almost all of my sweatshirts pockets has like a tear in it, so that you put stuff in there and it falls out. And I don't know how that happens, but it does to almost all of them. What was I going to say? This is the part of the show where I stare and think about my life a little bit. Try not to let the existential dread creep in. We're all gonna die. Try not to let it affect you. It's the morning. We're trying to think positively about the day, frame the day in a positive way. Don't get upset. It's troubling. But it's gonna be okay. There, I came through the existential crisis on the other side. I feel great. Do you do any sort of self-help rituals in the morning? One thing I've always said I was going to do is some sort of, morning stretching routine. The only time I was ever really into stretching was I took a dance class at UW Milwaukee in Wisconsin as part of my, arts exploration to get my Bachelor of Arts degree. And part of that class, which was like 95% women, was that we had to do these like really long stretches. And I kept that up after the class for, 6 months, where I was like really stretching myself in probably pretty unhealthy ways. But I was super limber, which people don't expect of someone with my body shape, which is endomorph, or eggplant monster, as I like to call it. But yeah, it was really crazy. And in that class, of all those girls, not one expressed interest in me. Can you imagine that? Those prudes. But it was, they did enjoy when we had to do like a transformative shape exercise where you start as a seed and you have to like sort of unfurl yourself like a flower. I don't think I've ever heard that many women laugh at me at one time is when I had to do that. And, it's a very silly thing to even think about, but it was very improvisational. And that was before I even started doing improv. So there you go. Perhaps that seed unfurling was my creativity and my willingness to be a blank slate for the ghosts of improv to inhabit. Speak of the devil, there's the mom of the kid who was smoking that weed that one time, a long time ago. He's since moved on to live somewhere else, to go to college and whatnot. He didn't seem like a bad kid. His friends, on the other hand, his friends made some bad decisions. They stole my kid's scooter. They did try to break into someone's window thinking it was his apartment that they were trying to get into. The weirdest part of that was that the people, there was a family with a newborn baby up on some floor, and this kid, who was a friend of the kid who lived here, got onto the fire escape, which is not an easy thing to do, climbed all the way up, went past the kid's floor because he was climbing the wrong way or counting the wrong way, and then tried to open the window of this family with the newborn baby inside it. And he didn't, he wasn't like a murderer, but he did scare the shit out of them, and they called the police, and the police came and weren't like breaking and entering, trespassing. Holy crap, that truck came super close to my car. Oh, that would have been a very exciting way to end the show. But the cops didn't press any charges, and the people were just sort of complaining, and then they moved out. But because of that incident, that kid did move out from his mom's house because he was wild and his friends were bad news. But she's a lovely person. I don't blame her. I don't put the blame on her at all. Unless she floods my apartment, which seems to be a favorite pastime of the people in my building. Well, yeah, this episode it's going by. I think you'll agree. Time is passing. There's nothing I've done. I'm not a time wizard. Some people have accused me of being a time wizard because when I enter a room, time seems to drag and things don't seem to progress and everyone kind of gets sort of slow and lethargic. I used to think that perhaps I was an energy vampire, but subsequent tests of that, I'm not feeding. Like, I don't get like replenished or have my own energy, my vital life forces revitalized by being around people who I'm apparently slowing their time. Yeah, people say when they're around me, that things seem like an eternity. Now you think that'd be great because then you could do everything you need to do in the amount of time. You would speed up inside the time bubble that I'm apparently making. But oh, there's Ace. He's leaving. Goodbye, Ace. Goodbye. I hope you found your earbuds. I didn't know where they were. Oh, he's getting a skateboard to buy himself some lunch, probably, because he is late as usual. But yeah, inside the time, this time field that I apparently generate and make everything go slow for people around me, you think they'd be able to do stuff inside it, but apparently they slow down too. So it's not like they're sped up inside a time bubble, I think you know what I'm trying to say. You've watched enough sci-fi to know what I'm trying to say. Like that one episode of Star Trek where the people are like flying around and they have to like record the sound of the buzzing flies and then slow it down, and it turns out that it's like everyone's then sped up, and then they like have to figure out how to get them back into regular time, and it's very terrifying because of space. I mean, the vacuum. Oh man. Well, the sky has gotten weirdly darker. Like I think it's like a week of clouds. So this is what it feels like to live in perhaps Seattle. Seattle livers and lovers, let me know. Is it like this there all the time? When I was there last, Seattle was having its like longest drought, which was like 2 weeks of no rain. And people were really freaking out, but I thought it was lovely. I was also offered heroin in the street, which I did not buy. Not because the price wasn't right, more because I don't do heroin and have no desire to. Oh yeah, especially has anyone watched Intervention? I know some people don't like misery porn, but Intervention is really good misery porn because often it has a happy ending. Although last night the episodes did not. Oh, it is raining now. I'm glad this is not alternate side sitting in the street without an umbrella or a car, because then I would be getting wet. But now it is raining. I bet Ace is going to come back here with his lunch and be like, dang, it's raining. Those probably will not be his exact words. Okay, we're in the home stretch here, 7:40. I've been talking for 40 minutes. Not a surprise for some of you, I'm sure. There was that period of time where I sort of shut down just because of the existential crisis. But as we all know, we weathered it, or at least I did. Perhaps you're still coming to terms with your impending death. I'm not saying it's about to happen. I guess that's what I mean by impending. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you. Hopefully not impending, but eventual death. Although I heard that in China, that someone is doing a brain transplant, and they're also doing like some other death rejuvenation experiment. And the guy who's done it has supposedly done it with like lesser creatures. Although there just seems like or like a full head transplant. That's what it was. It was a brain transplant and a full head transplant. Now it seems like, yes, you could connect the major arteries to reconnect the head. But there's so much other junk that you need to connect to make the life worth living. Not only the spine. Think about the spinal column and all of the other nerve endings and like all the other smaller veins in your neck and your tendons and shit. Nah, that seems unlikely in today's modern society, unless we've been visited by aliens who have this technology. It might be. I'm not saying, this is a pretty big universe. I mean, that's an understatement, but could we be the only intelligent life in the universe? I'm going to say no. I wanted to say yes as the comedy option, but I'm going to say no. We're not the only intelligent life in the universe. But, what if it was true? Now it's really raining. I'm glad that my door is literally 10 feet away, so I don't have to get wet. And now that it's raining, I could probably get out of my car because I feel like the meter maids, again, I apologize if that is the incorrect term, meter person, it doesn't sound the same. Meter maid has a nice ring to it. It makes you sound like Hazel, like from the old black and white TV show. If you haven't watched Hazel and you really want to watch a show about a nosy, kind-hearted, but kind of foot-in-the-mouth lady who saves the day, well, do yourself a favor and watch yourself some Hazel. It used to be on, I think, Channel 5 when I was growing up, and it was one of many sitcoms I was raised on by the television. But I hope it isn't Hazel that sort of acted as the baseline for my own life, but I suppose I could do worse. Recently, a friend of mine, I saw on Facebook that they were watching Small Wonder, and that it was like a favorite of theirs. And this is like someone who's like a professional comedy writer and television writer. And it's one of those things where like they can be so judgmental about other things and shitting on other culture references, but then they like something that is like the worst. And, some of it is irony and, they love it because it's so bad. But they love it to a degree where you're like, this seems like you actually like it, and you're not couching it in irony. You're like really liking how bad this is. Again, not ironically. You like genuinely are tickled by how bad it is. And, where there's like, I like it. It's so bad it's good. But they like it because it is just bad. And or they claim it's good. Like, you just can't read some people like that sometimes. Oh, they're the same people who say they don't like puns and then traffic in puns exclusively, but because they're a comedian, they can just blow it off and say that, well, when you do it, I frown and go like, really? And then I'll go ahead and be like, more like banana appeal, that kind of thing. I hate the double standard. Hate hypocrisy. And yet I like hypocrisy, which is more like hip-hop and opera, not like hip-hop leprosy. But I'm going to leave you with that thought. What's more important? Hypocrisy or hip-hopocracy? Nope, that's not what I said originally, I don't think. Hypocrisy. I said hip-hopocracy the second time, which is wrong. Anyway, thanks for enduring this with me. If you watched any of it, I saw 3 people log in, which is a lot less than normal because of this new channel, I'm hoping. Have I already peaked? I may have already peaked. This may be the end, folks. No, it won't be. I've got guests scheduled for next week. Terry Jen will watch. You will watch. Apple watch. Humble brag. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. And I pray you don't have to move your car for alternate side parking because it is stupid. Although I do like a clean street. Hypocrisy. All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.